left for you guys, it's technically my right. It's very strange. Ball Security Scout. It's a double entendre because it's about running backs and Manscaped. Remember, use the code CLUBFANTASY for 20% off plus free shipping, manscaped.com. I know we're past Christmas money, but there's Valentine's money. If you're Irish, maybe you'll get some gold coins. I don't really know, but you're going to get a lot of money that then you're going to be able to save by you. Stop laughing at me in the background. Jeez, all you people. That was a funny joke. All right, you know what? I'm just going to stop talking. Let's get into it. I hate all of you. That was a funny joke. I hate all of you. That was a funny joke. I was laughing.
That's why.
I hate all of you. That was a funny joke. Right? That was really good.
It was wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you. I, for some reason, have some of my best work when Britt's on. So the jokes are just flying. Welcome, everybody. Britt, thank you for joining us. Josh and Ryan, go fuck yourself. Britt, thanks for coming on. We appreciate you. Man, I'm excited. And your most recent episode, correct, was yesterday of HERstory in the Making, right? Fantastic
episode.
Yes,
it was so fun, and found out that Maddie and I are basically neighbors in the grand scheme of things within the USA. So that was fun. Found out a lot of things about her that I didn't know prior to talking to her. And it was just it's fun to get to the bottom of who the person is behind their content. So I really enjoy that show. And if y'all haven't checked it out, go watch it.
Can we talk about how StreamYard does this as person turquoise waving? We haven't figured out that we can put the emoji in there yet.
Only some emojis.
Yeah, it's only certain ones.
Listen, I understand, but every time Girth Brooks puts a YouTube emoji on there, I die laughing because it tells me exactly what it is, and I have to go to YouTube to know what it is. But see, now the normal waving emoji.
Hi.
What up, Girth? Okay. Again, best names. We didn't ask for them, but everyone has the best names. Mr. Scampers, Chill with Cat. I mean, that just fits, right? That just fits.
Is that the read of the emoji? That's
I don't know. I think that's the read of the emoji. I don't really know. It's all so very confusing. It is. So, okay. 2023 offseason. It's a fun time and a sad time because it's a lot of fun to talk about the offseason and what could potentially happen. But then there's also 6 months of no football in which it's very boring. But XFL, anybody catch Paxton Lynch's first touchdown pass that should have probably not been a touchdown pass? Anybody?
Listen, I am in an XFL fantasy league. I play XFL DFS. I swear to God, I am.
You degenerate.
Because last year I won the USFL fantasy league that I was in. Do you think that I would not play football if there is a possibility or an availability for me to play football? I will do it.
I will say years ago in the original XFL, I actually was in an XFL league that I won as well. That was early 2000s before Joe was even born. So
I was born in 98.
They had a pretty strong first weekend, I will say. I had some of the games on while I was at work. Didn't catch too much of it because we were so busy, but just like watching some of the highlights and stuff, I'm like, okay, not too bad. We're off to a good start here. Let's see how it continues.
All I saw was
Paxton Lynch getting benched was just icing.
I watched Paxton Lynch's first drive and I was like, wow, this guy.
How that man was a first round pick in the NFL draft still baffles me to this day.
Incredible.
Yeah. Well, let's give him some slack though. He's only been with the team for like 3 weeks.
Is he still rocking the Tampa Bay Buccaneers helmet, pirate goatee and mustache?
I couldn't tell.
I don't even know if they showed his face or if he just had a paper bag over his head the entire game.
That's fair.
XFL didn't want to be embarrassed by showing his face because we already got the bad product on the field. So
all I didn't know Cody Latimer was in the league, and I was like, oh, look at that guy go. What a good guy.
That was a good story. That's a good story.
I like Cody Latimer. I thought he was a solid NFL roster guy. He's not like a world beater, but a solid NFL roster guy. Okay. I'm going to run through absolutely long list of running backs.
I tried to break it up to kind of focus on the important ones. I did.
Did you? Okay.
I did.
Well, I'm gonna read it.
You just haven't read the show sheet until about 3 seconds ago.
Fuck no, of course. Why would I do that? Why would I do that? Why would
he likes to be surprised.
Yeah, I actually did look at it earlier and I laughed because Josh obviously puts Giant Killer on there.
I had to,
obviously. He gets his own category. Okay. Free agents. Top 2 dogs, Saquon, Josh Jacobs. One probably back with the same team. The other
almost certainly
not back with the team. And Josh Jacobs being the latter right there. Electric. I'm reading these exactly how Josh wrote them. Okay. Electric and deserving of starter consideration. There's just one, and it's Tony Pollard. Good old TP.
Thought it was fair.
I agree.
All right. Quality starters. David Montgomery, Miles Sanders, future Las Vegas Raider Damian Harris, Devin Singletary, Jamal Williams, Deonta Foreman, Kareem Hunt. There's your quality starters. Potential starters with questions. Alexander Madison, Rashad Penny. Injuries might be the main question.
Yeah,
there.
I think that might be the question.
That would be pretty easy. Complimentary backs. Raheem Mostert, Jeff fucking Wilson, Samaje Perine. Depth pieces. Guys, some names who have actually had fantasy impact in the past, so these could actually be named. The aforementioned RB20, Jerick McKinnon.
That's right.
The 0 RB heroes.
That's right.
He is the 0 RB hero.
Correct.
For the fact that he was the 0 RB hero for like 7 weeks and he managed RB20.
And what's even crazier is someone who wrote a waiver article during that time was how little people were ready to jump on board. He was like waiver wire available for most of his amazing run to end the season because nobody believed in him.
So, yeah, of course not.
I'm going to toot my own horn here a little bit and promote some of the FA work, but that hot takes piece, as soon as he had that one good week, I was like, McKinnon's the RB1 the rest of the season.
Yeah.
And what happened? RB1.
Yeah.
Wow.
So, yeah, which is crazy. It's crazy because
that's why you
think that he would fall into that category, but his utilization got him there. So
well, and that's why you follow smart people like Britt first and foremost. But if you combine the two things where the usage, it was clear they only trusted him, but then it came down to, and we've seen this consecutive years, Jonathan Taylor a few years ago, they had the easiest schedule for running backs to end the season. So if people just took their head out of their own asses and put 2 and 2 together, it wasn't hard to see it. And you had smart people telling you it. Like I said, it could have been easier for people.
I like keeping my head in my ass, though.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's comfy and dark.
You can say that about a lot of things.
Keep it rolling.
We're off the rails.
Britt brought it
in
up,
this
okay? Britt brought it up. She merely did the soft toss. I merely hit the grand slam, okay?
There you go.
Dearness Johnson, the GOAT of Cleveland backfields. Dearness Johnson. Jermichael Hasty, 162-yard touchdown run.
That's the GOAT of Jacksonville backfield.
GOAT of Jacksonville backfields. Okay, now for real, Dontrell Hilliard, who actually weirdly had like 5 good games.
Mm-hmm.
Very strange. Justin Jackson, Amir Abdullah, Mike Boone, Myles Gaskin, Benny Snell, Ronald Jones, RIP, Ty Johnson, Travis Homer, Justice Hill, Darrell Henderson, James Robinson, who is a restricted free agent. Retreads, nomads on the other side of
older side. Learn how to read, Joe.
Oh, it's the same thing. It's the same thing.
They crossed over.
Yeah,
it can be the same.
The other side. Yeah. Latavius Murray, who managed to be the RB1 in Denver at 32 or 33, some bullshit like that. Matt Breida and Kenyon Drake, the Giant Killer, Boston Scott.
Yeah.
So that is all. Boston Scott gets his own little category. And
you threw RIP on Ronald Jones. I'm going to say we should throw another one on Myles Gaskin, because if you look at this dude's lack of efficiency over the last 2 seasons, he is done. That man is not getting another contract.
He'll probably be in the XFL.
Yes, he's probably talking right fucking now.
but at least Myles Gaskin had
honestly, the only
productive
reason I
fantasy
even put
games.
him on the sheet was because I know Ryan's love affair with Miles.
My
Gaskin,
love
so-
affair is over. I have started my projections entirely too early, and he was one of the players I actually worked on today and was like, dear God, he is trash. Like, it is just over. So
I love the comments about what the hell we just talked about.
yeah, I was
a few
gonna say
minutes ago.
we're getting a lot of flack in the chat right now.
This is
about
fantastic.
Keeping it family friendly.
I don't even think
like
it
you guys have never tuned into this show before.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't even think it cracks the top 15 of
No, it
Right?
worst things said on this show. So we did have Stoner on for multiple episodes. So okay, who starts where? Obviously, the big team names consist of the Dolphins, the Giants. Again, many assume Saquon probably back, but still on the list. Eagles, Raiders, Bills, Panthers, Bears, Lions. A lot of teams that have potential for backups as well to help fill roles to rotate in or rotate out guys such as Ramondre Stevenson in New England, Kenneth Walker in Seattle, Javonte Williams, obviously coming off an injury for Denver. If Tony Pollard's not back, who is going to run with Ezekiel Elliott in that backfield, and then Dalvin Cook as well in the backfield with the Minnesota Vikings. Cook, obviously not the most injury prone. So who starts where? We're going to start with Miami because that seems to be a team that could really use a complete starter in the backfield to only elevate that offense an incredible amount. Britt, I will start with you. Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson. I'm pretty sure those were just the main two stays in that backfield the entire time. You had guys sprinkled in throughout. Does Mostert continue in that backfield? Do they bring back Jeff Wilson? What is the best course of action for Miami to essentially upgrade their backfield?
See, I think you hit the nail on the head when you're like Miami brought in a bunch of running back depth, but they were all basically complementary pieces. And they were all guys who Mike McDaniel really liked and kind of carried over from San Francisco. But none of them were actual workhorse backs. And it was infuriating for fantasy. You know, Wilson would be the guy one week, then Mostert would be the guy the next week. I think that they bring in Miles Sanders. Philadelphia and Sirianni just seem to hate Sanders. From week 12 on, he averaged just under 12 carries per game, which is not great at all. So it doesn't seem like he'll get a big deal there, especially with a huge looming contract for Jalen Hurts. I think that if he goes to Miami, he could be that every down kind of workhorse back with either Mostert or Jeff Wilson sprinkled in. I'm leaning towards them keeping Wilson more over Mostert just because of injury history, age, etc. But I don't think that they keep both. I do think that they bring in somebody like Sanders to handle the bulk of the work and really retool their offense into a more efficient system.
My favorite thing about Miles Sanders is that he lathered his gloves in butter before the Super Bowl with the amount of times he couldn't hang on to the football. So if he goes to Miami and has that same gusto as a Patriots fan, I would love that. So.
See, I think he touched the poles walking into the stadium. He just touched the poles too early.
Got the Crisco.
Things you hate to see. Ryan.
So they're the most interesting, but you both kind of hit it on the head where I don't know that we see them bring in a big name because he feels like he can get it done. I don't think he's looking at his team, he being Mike McDaniel, and thinking running back is necessarily the issue. I agree wholeheartedly with Britt. I think they bring one of their guys back. I do think it's probably Jeff Wilson just based on age. Raheem Mostert is old. Like he's pushing 30 if I remember correctly. And that's like death age for running backs. Like he has rejuvenated his career a couple of times. I think they're probably ready to move on. I don't think this is happening, but this would be a dream landing spot for Tony Pollard if it's going to be a split decision in Dallas, whereas I think he could go here and do some really special things in this offense. I don't think it's going to happen. I know this show's about free agency. I really think after what happened last year, I think Mike McDaniel's on the phone with San Francisco about bringing Elijah Mitchell over. It's someone who knows his offense. It's someone who's done well in his offense. I won't be the least bit surprised. And that's going to kind of be a theme you're going to notice for me is coaches going after their old players. I won't be surprised if Miami is on the phone trying to get Eli Mitchell.
Could you imagine Mike McDaniel brings literally every running back he worked with in San Francisco?
Tevin Campbell, or Coleman rather.
And all of them, none of them stay healthy for more than 3 games in a row. Not a single one of them. Josh.
I'm going to play a little fantasy football here. But I was going through and I was looking at over the cap and I'm looking at the numbers and I'm looking at the people that I know they need to consider extending, who they could realistically cut, restructure, trade, etc. Just to clear up enough space. Why not go get Saquon Barkley? Look at how dynamic that San Francisco 49ers offense became when they put a dynamic running back into that offense. Mike McDaniel runs the exact same type of scheme. That's why he's cycling through all these 49er retreads. You have a limited window right here, right? You're trying to figure out if Tua's the guy. You're likely going to extend him and just, hope that you can figure out the offensive line. But you need to spend off, your draft picks, which right now they're kind of short on, not on running backs, on offensive linemen to protect them. So why not go out and get another playmaker to just make Tua's life that much easier? Because when he does get rid of the ball quickly, good things tend to happen for this offense. He was one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the NFL when he was healthy. Give him another dynamic weapon. Could you imagine an offense with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and Saquon fucking Barkley?
Yeah, first round bounce.
Now, I do want to throw out there, because I was looking at the draft and trying to decide, draft capital where they could spend. And Josh, I kind of thought the same thing. Like, they need to protect their quarterback, which they proved many times. And let's not forget, they had to give up their first round pick this year because of the tampering thing, because I thought they were an interesting fit for Bijan Robinson if they got to keep their own pick there in the early 20s, because that's kind of where you're seeing these stud running backs go. And I was thinking kind of the same thing as you, Josh, is put this like dynamic running back in this offense and watch them cook. So it's an interesting fit with Barkley, but yeah, it's just a shame for them that they went
that
after
division is up for grabs. This is the way that I look at it. Buffalo, like they're a good, regular season team, but they have these lulls. And for whatever reason, they can't get over the hump in the postseason. Miami brought in Vic Fangio to fix the defense because they've got talent there. And, not playing all this like cover zero, which is leaving the back end so wide open and vulnerable, Fangio can fix that. So why not continue to boost the offense and just let Fangio work his magic? That's my dream scenario here.
I just think that this draft class is so deep, on top of the free agent market being so deep, that I don't necessarily know if they go out and spend primo money on a primo running back when you can get like not as great of one, but a pretty decent one at a lower price, and then possibly bring up somebody in the draft to kind of
that's
develop.
what I was considering, Britt, but they just don't have a ton of draft capital.
Yeah.
And the offensive linemen that are hitting free agency are very average at best. There's not really like an elite option at all. So I would much rather pay for an elite option at any position versus pay more for an average option at obviously a position of need. That's kind of the way that I was looking at it. That way they can draft and develop offensive linemen via the draft, plug them into their system and see who's going to work best. That's kind of the route that I was taking. Because again, you can front load Saquon's contract for a couple of years, get the best out of them and see what happens. And if it doesn't work, you move on.
They might want to pay for a secondary or any form of a linebacker before they do anything on the offensive side of the football. Just
I don't know, when you're getting multiple quarterbacks literally almost killed in back-to-back games, maybe you go get an offensive line.
Well, that's what I'm saying. There just really aren't any good ones.
Yeah. Go find someone on the defense and spend that money. Don't spend it on Saquon. No, but no one's back on the Myles Gaskin back in Miami train.
No.
Not even a little bit.
Fully believe Myles Gaskin career is over. When I was looking at this dude's, like, he averaged like 3.4 yards per carry last year on a team that was averaging like 4.8 yards per carry. Like, it's all fucking bad. He was underperforming his own already bad offensive line, if you will. So
JaMychal Hasty, former 49er.
That's a good point. I didn't make that connection.
If that's all Mike McDaniel's going after. Scampers threw out Kyle Juszczyk, and I got excited. I'm like, no way, he's a free agent. He's not. He still has 3 years left on his deal.
Yeah, I can't see
The
Shanahan
juice.
letting.
No, the juice
lose.
is staying.
Yeah.
Well, and
Oh,
they
yeah,
went out.
yeah,
They
he's
went
not
out and
winning.
got Alec Ingold, and they use him the same way. 15 catches for 105 yards and a touchdown last year. Obviously, they would want Juszczyk, but they're going to be happy with Ingold. So
Yeah, Juszczyk's better, but Ingold's a fantastic fullback. Okay. Where I lost literally where my team is. This list is so long. The Giants. Does anyone believe that Saquon is not back?
yeah, one person does. Josh thinks he's going to Miami.
Okay. Haha. Okay, Josh. Josh just wants him out of the fucking division. Who do you think?
I really don't care. He didn't do much against us this year anyway, so I'm not that worried about it. Why, Ryan? You hit it on the head, right? Familiar connections. Why are we not thinking Devin Singletary goes to the Giants?
I did put his
Free
name.
agent Joe Shane Dable coached him in Buffalo.
I did put that if Barkley were to walk, Singletary makes the most sense.
Yeah.
It's all contingent on whether or not Daniel Jones gets that exorbitant contract. I think that really is the butterfly point for depending on whether or not Saquon stays or not.
Does anybody in this room believe Daniel Jones isn't worth $45 million a year?
Right.
And that,
He
in
shouldn't even
in
make
another
$30
multiverse.
Daniel Jones.
I was dumbfounded when I heard that. I mean, I understand quarterback pay is just ridiculous. Now, Daniel Jones in a environment where quarterbacks are making $45 million a year, Daniel Jones is still only worth $12 million a year.
No, can you imagine how much that would just completely fuck the market? Like
quit at that point. The
Brett,
Browns have
Jared Goff was the highest paid quarterback at one point.
Yeah.
And so was Carson Wentz. That fucked the market. That was terrible.
And I'm saying how stupid it has been because it's completely salary cap constrained all of these teams by trying to keep these good quarterbacks in there. And it just it
love
doesn't
the air
work
quotes
out.
on good.
Listen,
it just doesn't work because you've got quarterbacks like Brady taking team friendly deals, and then you've got these other quarterbacks like, no, I am demanding this, and they wasted high draft capital on me, and by God, you're going to spend money on me. And it never works out the way that they think.
Daniel Jones came to me straight faced for $45 million a year, I would have cut him on the spot. I'd like, get the fuck out of here. These negotiations are over.
Well, Ryan,
they already didn't.
Right. Good news for you. He's not on your roster, technically.
Yeah.
So, but Elixirs brings up a good point. Who has the nickname Danny Dimes? No one else.
That's right. So he deserves $10 million a year.
Now, I like to call him Danny Pennies because he's never accurate with his passes.
It's befuddling.
Danny Ducks, Joe.
Danny Ducks.
He got that nickname after one good game against a subpar defense, and the name stuck just because of the alliteration and because it's fun to say, not because of anything that he's actually done on.
It's like Matty Ice with Matt Ryan.
I think Matty Ice is a more appropriate nickname than Danny Dimes.
Yeah,
I mean,
because he freezes up in big moments. It's perfect. Matty Ice. Terrible name. Josh, who goes to New York then?
Singletary.
Jesus Christ, Joe. Listen to the show.
Shut up. There's so many things happening. Eagles. Doesn't sound like anybody thinks Sanders is going back.
Sanders is probably not going back.
Yeah, and Kenneth Gainwell is the only one under contract currently. So
they do have Trey Sermon. They kept him on the roster all year too. So I'm really curious to see how he fits into the rotation.
It is interesting.
Yeah, those are right now the only two outside of the practice squad guy.
So the fact that they didn't cut him when they had opportunities to do so is interesting with Trey Sermon.
Correct. So. Yeah, I feel like they kept him literally knowing that Sanders will not be back and he could potentially be a rotational piece in 2023. That's what it makes me think.
So I actually have David Montgomery going to Philly with the questions over Jason Kelsey's possible retirement, over possibly having to restructure Lane Johnson's contract. They're going to need a back in there who can pass protect. And David Montgomery earned an excellent grade in pass pro. Like literally, that's the only reason that he continued to start over Khalil Herbert was because he was so much better in pass protection. And I think if he can come in there, he kind of does the same thing as Sanders. You know, I mean, he's got the same skill set and he's a little bit better with ball security, a little bit better in pass pro, and he's probably going to be cheaper. Right. I mean, he's just a better overall back. And Chicago has so many draft picks. And I mean, they've got a ton in cap space too, so they could keep him. But I feel like they're going to blow the whole thing up. And so I can really see Montgomery fitting in really well in Philadelphia.
I agree. Monty's not back. I have somewhere else for him to land. I think it all comes down to what mindset. I truly believe the Eagles are going to walk out of the draft with Bijan Robinson, and that's who their starter is going to be. I don't know if they're going to be willing to pay. I don't know how much money Sanders is going to want. I feel like the Eagles are going to be a destination spot next year as Super Bowl runners up. So I think Josh Jacobs is what I'm trying to say. Josh Jacobs might take a long, hard look at Philly, but I don't know what kind of money he's going to command. Josh is shaking his head no at everything I'm saying. So Josh, who the fuck are the Eagles going to sign?
Matt Breida.
Well, I look at it this way. No,
Saquon Barkley.
I've got
everywhere.
one. Here's what the Eagles do really, really well. They bargain shop, and they're really good at this, especially at positions like running back, where people aren't going to pay big money for that position. I know there's a lot of talk around Tony Pollard with franchise tag.
No way.
The injury will come into play. Somebody is going to flag that injury and say it's not going to heal properly, blah, blah, blah. It's going to drive his market down. You just wait and you look at freaking Howie Roseman swooping in and stealing a target from Dallas and paying them half of what they would have paid had they not franchised them.
But the problem is
that's my
Dallas,
dream scenario.
That's
your wish list.
I don't think it's
happening.
actually going to happen. I think it's basically going to be Sanders, or they're just going to bypass it altogether, and they'll take another mid-round back and just work a rotation between Gainwell, Sermon, and whoever they pick. That's ultimately what I think will happen.
I think they showed a lot of faith in Gainwell to end the year to where they may be ready to do exactly what Josh just said. I don't know the rookie running back class as well as other folks, but Britt has already said in this show, it's a very deep rookie class. Why not go in with Gainwell and a rookie, even if it's not Bijan Robinson?
So. Yeah, Bijan makes sense, sure, but that's not Howie's MO. Howie is he's got 2 first-round picks. He's got like 18 free agents on his defensive line, and they need to rebuild that. So I think you're going to see a lot of defensive linemen in probably the first couple rounds for Philly, if I'm being honest.
I hope Monty goes there because everyone needs to shut the fuck up about him being a bad running back. David
He just doesn't have top-end speed. That's his problem.
He doesn't have top-end speed. He also hasn't had a fucking offensive line. And he's not Barry Sanders, okay? He's not Barry Sanders. He doesn't have an offensive line. So I would love for him to run behind the Philly offensive line because
I would not hate that at all. And I don't think he's going to be a guy that you would have to pay $8-9 million a year for. Like, you could probably get him between 4 and 5.
And you know what's great? He'll still go in the fucking 5th round of fantasy drafts.
Probably.
Right where I like my RB3.
He bought a timeshare in the dead zone.
Yes, he did. He did. And he's never getting out. Literally. Because then people are going to be like, oh, Montgomery's only good because he has Jalen Hurts and they're in a run-first offense, blah, blah. They're not looking at him as the first option. Shut the fuck up. He's a good running back, okay?
Well, people thought that about Sanders, too, and look where he ended up.
Well, Sanders told us not to draft him. He just tried
Sanders
to be obedient.
not to draft him. Okay.
I still thought it.
The Raiders. I'm just going to stop everybody and say that it's Damian Harris, and there's literally no other option that they are going with.
And I knew
that's literally what I put in my notes.
Damian
and I
Harris
knew you weren't going to let us talk, so it's what's in my notes as well. Britt, as the uninitiated, we have been saying this for months now. So do you have a different opinion?
So I actually think that this is kind of going to end up like the Rashad Penny situation in Seattle last year. I think that Jacobs is kind of a buyer beware situation going out into free agency. So I think that he's going to go out there, look for a deal. A team's not going to pay him. And then he's going to come back to the Raiders on like a reduced deal, kind of like what Penny did. We're not going to see him get signed to a place right away, but he did too well this year. And especially with Derek Carr leaving and an uncertainty at the quarterback position, I think that they need that one offensive piece that has proven that he's good and can get results, but they're going to wait and let him test the market and then come back and just pay him a little less. I think that's what's going to happen. I wouldn't honestly, though, be surprised if Jacobs and Harris both go to the Raiders. I don't think it's a one and done situation.
I mean, Damian Harris is going to. He could be the backup. He could be the starter. He will be a Raider.
Well, I was gonna say, and it's interesting because the Raiders didn't really use backup running backs at all last year.
No.
So were they trying to kill Josh Jacobs to where getting a guy like Damian Harris who has a similar build and skill set to Josh Jacobs, it isn't going to be a thunder and lightning type deal there. It's going to be almost injury insurance at that point. So.
Yeah, I would say the only major difference in their game is receiving ability. Damian Harris cannot catch. He is.
Well, we weren't even sure if Josh Jacobs could until this year.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, he's been ticking up as a receiver.
Every year,
first 4 years. So,
and I also believe Jacobs is a better pass blocker. Damian Harris is not very good at pass blocking. Also, because he's never in on passing downs, which. How can you be good at something when you're never actually in the game for it?
I mean, what's interesting, I just happen to be looking at it again right now. Only 39 attempts to back up running backs in Las Vegas last year. That's in today's NFL, that is unheard of.
Well, and especially in a Josh McDaniels situation too, because we saw him in New England just rotate. And they're never, I think you hit the nail on the head with the fact that they were trying to run Jacobs into the ground. And then when he just turned out to be good at
like,
getting run into the ground,
working.
Hey, it works. Like, let's keep doing it. And then maybe we'll get a deal on him going into next season.
Yeah, maybe we can break him.
I think that rotate is a Belichick thing and not a McDaniels thing, because that's been happening forever at the running back position in New England. So I do believe that is a Belichick thing and less of a McDaniels thing. I'd be interested to see what it looked like when he was in Denver. What it looked like for.
I mean, he spent a first-round pick on Noshawn Moreno.
Yeah,
like you would think that he values the running back position in his offense. So
Noshawn Moreno, what a pull! What an absolute pull, Noshawn Moreno. That was a guy for like 2 seasons that you was like viable.
I believe he was a top 15 pick that year too.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, wow. They spent pretty high draft capital on him because they took
definitely not a top 15 draft pick, but a good guy.
They took Tebow, I think, in that same draft.
They did, yeah, because Tebow was the 26th pick or something overall.
Some pick in the 20s.
So in 2009, it was almost all Moreno. With 200 and I think it was 32 carries, 247. But Carell Buckhalter was the backup with 120 carries. And then in 2010, very similar situation. Moreno at 182, the backup, again, Buckhalter with 59 carries. So it seems like you're absolutely right, Joe. McDaniel is a give it to my bell cow and let things shake out as they will.
Yeah, because I've been screaming at the television that Reminder Stevenson should have 37 carries a game or 37 in remotely just the amount of touches.
So that's what we need Stevenson in Las Vegas. That's what we need.
No. Stevenson is the only good part of the offense because Jacoby Myers is not re-signing for less than $10 million.
You don't get both, Joe. You either get him carries in Vegas or watch him die in New England.
I would rather watch him die in New England. I'm sorry. I'm not that I was on that man and this show last year, I was on that man saying this is the guy for New England. Okay. The Bills, very interesting. They don't have Singletary or Moss anymore. Technically, obviously Moss is officially gone, Singletary free agent. They have James Cook, which it seems like they probably want to ride with him. Nyheim Hines is still there as well. So is it James Cook and Nyheim Hines? Is it James Cook and Justice Hill? What is it, Britt?
So I'm causing absolute chaos here.
Okay.
I'm going Kareem Hunt because then you've got a 1.0 and a 2.0 in Kareem Hunt and Kareem Hunt Light. And Hunt was so good when he was the bell cow back in Kansas City. He ended up, I think, like at RB8 in RB8 in 2018
in Kansas City.
And he only played 11 games. RB8 and only played 11 games. Like, can you imagine back another great offense, another great quarterback, just being out there and being able to catch passes, not living in Nick Chubb's humongous shadow. I mean, I think that this would be an ideal landing spot and very exciting for fantasy as well. Do I think it'll happen? Nah, we'll see. He has had some injuries and doesn't necessarily have ties, but I think it would be really, really fun.
It's a thick shadow to be in, Nick Chubb's. Yeah. It's a thick one.
Yeah.
Ryan?
Bills are in cap hell, just absolute cap hell. But they also need to make a splash. They are quickly falling to third in the AFC. Like Josh said, the division isn't even safe. I think the Bills pull out all the stops to get Josh Jacobs. That's where I actually have him landing.
Ooh,
okay.
I like that.
I went David Montgomery. Brandon Beane has shown that he likes running backs that break tackles. That's why he targeted Zach Moss. That's why he targeted Devin Singletary. David Montgomery fits that mold. And he's good in pass protection. He can catch passes out of the backfield. I mean, I think Montgomery is a better back than Devin Singletary. So you actually get an upgrade in this situation. And Montgomery, again, I don't think he's going to be way overpriced like someone like Jacobs, and they can use those resources on defense.
This is interesting. It's going to be a very interesting thing to watch David Montgomery, to learn what the NFL thinks about David Montgomery, because David Montgomery, efficiency-wise, has been bad, plain and simple. He's a 3.94 yard per carry guy. As Joe pointed out, he has no offensive line, and he's not Barry Sanders. So things have been stacked against him, but he was a very highly touted rookie. He was someone whose talent was looked at very, very well. So does the NFL, now with all this years of tape on David Montgomery, believe in the talent of David Montgomery, or is he a 3.9 yard per carry guy who's not going to see shit in free agency? So.
His forced broken tackles in college,
it's insane.
It was absurd.
Well, even his first 2 years in the NFL, I think he was really highly rated there. Yeah. So
this was stupid. He, I believe last year, averaged 2.5 missed tackles behind the line of scrimmage.
Have to.
2.5.
That's how bad his line was.
That's how bad his line was. And that's how fucking shifty he is too. 2.5 forced missed tackles behind the line of scrimmage. Like, you give this guy just one person to run behind, and he's probably a 4.5 yards per carry, close to 5 guy who can make a lot of people miss. This is off topic, but we're a little over the halfway point. Gator brought up he was the GOAT, Tim Tebow. Okay. I bring this up because we have a college aficionado here. Maybe in college, certainly not in the pros. I think everybody will agree with that. But is Tim Tebow the greatest college quarterback ever? Britt?
No.
Okay.
No. I will never say that he is.
Okay.
SEC officiating helped him look like the best quarterback in college.
Okay. Blame it on the refs. Love that. Ryan?
I'm the absolute wrong person to ask. As I recall, and obviously he's a name who gets brought up often, Joe Montana was pretty damn good in college. John Elway was pretty damn good. But for my lifetime, for what he won, I would say probably yes.
Josh?
I mean, the accolades definitely help make that case. I personally still believe that Peyton Manning was a much better looking quarterback on the football field in college, even though he's not as decorated with the awards. That's
why I bring it up, because 2 national championships,
one Heisman,
and he was in the running this another year after that. Yeah,
correct. He was the first sophomore, I believe, to win the Heisman Trophy.
And correct me if I'm wrong, Florida's almost been irrelevant as a college football program since he left.
Well, because they broke up the mafia after he left.
Yeah. Oh no. Well, very well aware of the gang squad that they had built inside of Florida for those years. But I just want to bring it up. It's always, I hear a lot of people say he is the best college quarterback of all time because of those accolades and because of all that stuff. But again, if you're looking at pure passing, he could.
It's what he was able to do on the ground as well. I mean,
exactly.
He was a legitimate dual threat quarterback in college, and for as inaccurate as he was in the pros, his accuracy numbers in college were far better.
Well, that's because the bad mechanics worked.
Yeah,
and the bad mechanics worked in college. That shit didn't play in the NFL. Everybody was too good and too fast.
And he saw like Missouri and Vanderbilt. So like at that point, it didn't really matter.
Actually, I don't think Missouri was in the SEC then.
He saw Vanderbilt. It doesn't fucking matter. Like, he literally saw a school of scientists. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Literally, 52 Bill Nyes walked out onto the field.
I'm apologizing, Jay. Clearly, we're not pro UF on this stream.
I thought it was a fun little thing. Okay, back to the running backs here. The Carolina Panthers. They need a lot more help than at the running back position. They
could very easily re-sign Deonta Foreman. Honestly, he looks pretty damn good.
Wouldn't surprise me.
I think that's what they do. Yeah. I mean, he's going to be cheap. He's older. He proved his worth. I mean, he had over 900 yards and 9 starts this season. I mean, he's got tread on the tires as far as his age, but not an actual playing time. And his age is going to be a big factor in keeping that salary low. So I don't see any reason why they don't keep him.
Brian?
I just think new coach is going to want someone a little bit more well-rounded than what Foreman is. And this is where I actually think David Montgomery ends up. So he's someone who can go in there and do a little bit of everything for them, for a team that needs a little bit of everything. So give me David Montgomery here.
I've lost track on where David Montgomery is going.
I say we all disagree. So
I don't know where he's ending up. This is all
like flip a 12-sided like D&D die, and then we'll figure out where he goes.
And then he re-signs in Chicago. And
and then I just draft him as like my 5th running back in the 8th round.
There you go.
I'm still happy about it. So Josh?
This is where I have Miles Sanders going.
Okay.
I'm linking the past with the future. Frank Reich's there. He's going to be calling plays. It's his offense. Miles Sanders has played in this offense. He knows the offense, and he's played really fucking well in this offense. So, and his former running back coach, Deuce Staley, is also on the staff there in Carolina. So I think that's going to be...
I did throw in
He'll look for some familiarity. Like, I think, and I truly believe that he wants to stay in Philadelphia. He even put it on his Instagram story today. But again, it's a numbers game, and the numbers just really do not work at the running back position. Carolina clearly is trying to build something. By all accounts, they've put together a staff to develop a rookie quarterback. Like it seems pretty damn obvious they're going to make a move to get a young quarterback to groom. And I think from there you have to surround him with quality players, and Sanders is still a quality player.
Whoever they get at quarterback, just please tell him to throw the ball to DJ Moore.
Right?
He's open. Just fucking throw it to him. Please.
Well, as we said last week, I think Darnold probably gets re-signed as a bridge guy. And
listen, that's fine. As long as Frank Reich tells him number 2 is open on every play and you should throw it to him. I don't give a
180 targets.
He needs Devontae Adams level targets, please, because he's open. He's just open, guys. Who the fuck is covering him in that division? Nobody. He's open. Every fucking play, he's open. 6 games a season, he's wide open. He was double covered against Atlanta and beat the fucking defense. He's open. He's open. What do you want from him? He's open. Oh, ridiculous. Now, the Chicago Bears. You know who I know is not going there? David Montgomery. So that's good.
Yeah.
I got that. I know he's
Joe's
not
just happy to not have to hear that name again.
I've just heard it the last 7 teams we've talked about, so I don't know where he's going, but I do know he's not going to the Bears. So that's good. Britt, who will be the unfortunate soul that cannot break an average of 2.5 tackles behind the line of scrimmage behind a bottom 3 offensive line in the NFL? Whose career is getting ruined?
I think it's Singletary.
Hell yeah, I love that.
Not only do you have the historical name recognition of Singletary, but they've already got Khalil Herbert back there. I don't necessarily think he's ready for a bell cow back, and Singletary's already shown that he can be pretty efficient in that rotational role, and the Bears have cap space to play around. So if Montgomery wants out, if he finds a better deal elsewhere, which I think that he probably will, then Singletary's their next best guy in that offense.
Ryan.
I like it. I went Deontay Foreman here just because I think they're going to want a big back to replace David Montgomery, and they want to get Khalil Herbert more involved. So I put Deontay Foreman here since they have money to blow.
You guys are all playing it safe. I'm thinking, you know what? They need to pay for
Saquon Barkley. Josh is putting him everywhere.
Josh fucking Jacobs going to Chicago because there's not a wide receiver worth paying. So go pay arguably the best skill position player available, in my opinion. I mean, look, Barkley should be in consideration, but if I'm Chicago, I want to go get one of the best weapons to help Justin Fields. And you've got close to $100 million in cap space to work with. So go pay the guy that just led the NFL in rushing yards.
It's a fair point because you need somebody who can keep defenses
take pressure off the quarterback.
Take pressure off the quarterback. And your rookie deal window is 3 more years long. Like, spend this money right now while you can. So
I don't know why this popped into my head to look up how big Deonta Foreman actually is in terms of
dude's like 240.
He's 6'1", 236 pounds.
Yeah.
You big boy.
Dude's a monster.
Like you look at him and you just tell he's an absolute massive human.
And then
holy shit.
2 years ago when he was in Tennessee, he was even wearing his hair the same as Derrick Henry. Like, they looked like the
exact same
when they were out there. Like, you couldn't tell who was who.
Yeah, when Henry went down and Foreman was in the game, the only thing that looked different about them was their number.
Yeah.
And the fact that Derrick Henry is also bigger and runs way faster is
insane.
It's just ridiculous. Okay. Last team.
Well, speaking about Derrick Henry, somebody mentioned that today, since they cut everyone making cap space in Tennessee, that Derrick Henry might be a trade candidate. And can you imagine how much that would shake up the free agency market if Tennessee were to go and trade Derrick Henry? I just want to throw a little bit of chaos in here before we move to the last team.
The Britt bomb.
But just imagine.
I love that though, Britt, because here's my question, and Britt, maybe you can answer. Why didn't they cut Ryan Tannehill in this round of cutting? Like, is there a reason for it?
Because they don't have a quarterback.
Yeah, I really think that
you don't have a quarterback with Ryan Tannehill. So
but they're not in a position to move up to get one is the problem.
And I wonder if there was a lot of, I haven't looked at over the cap, but I think that Tannehill carries a lot of dead cap with him, whereas these other ones don't.
That's what I thought too. I just looked it up. The cap hit this year with him on the roster is 36.6. Dead cap hit if they cut him is 18.8. So they actually save a lot more money than if they kept him on the roster. So that's weird. It is an interesting question, Ryan, because
if they cut Tannehill post June 1st, that's where they save the money. Okay. They save $27 million in cap by cutting him post June 1st.
Now, can't they? Now? I don't know when the rules kick in because the NFL is confusing as fuck. But they could cut him early and designate it as a post June 1st cut. Okay.
Yeah. So. Dumb shit.
But that's the thing. For them to do that, they have to figure out who's going to be the quarterback. It ain't Malik Willis. I'm sorry.
No, and there's not a lot in free agency. They would have to bank on getting one of these guys out of this draft and expect him to be ready to go immediately. And if he's not ready to go immediately, Henry's only got realistically a couple more years left in him. So if you're not going to have a quarterback, why waste his salary? I mean, trade him. So I think that that's an intriguing situation and something that would just be crazy.
Oh, that would change whatever division he ends up in, the balance of power shifts. So,
yeah.
Remember when Malik Willis was going to go 11th to the Washington Commanders?
Oh, I saw people projecting trade ups to the top 5 for people to walk out with Malik fucking Willis. So
not me.
Could you imagine?
No, not I.
Could you imagine the Liberty University quarterback?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I mean, he did play with Antonio Gandy Golden.
Is that where he went to school, Gandy Golden?
Yeah.
Could have given me literally a million guesses, and there's not even that many colleges in the United States, and I still would not have guessed Liberty University. Antonio Gandy Golden. Jeez, is he on an NFL roster? Is he on the no? Drafted by the Commanders.
I say Washington.
I don't even know if he's in the XFL.
That's a good point.
See, that's when you know you're bad, is if you're not on an XFL roster.
I fell so hard for that kid.
Just you did.
Yeah, you did. Everything. I was like, he's gonna be so good.
So here's how you know how bad football players actually are. Is that they now have 3 leagues that they could be rostered on.
And if you're not in
one of them, that's tough.
Call it a career, bro.
I would hang it up. Finish your degree, do something, because football is not it. Football is not it. Last team for starter consideration. The Detroit Lions, DeAndre Swift, you could very well argue, and I would allow the conversation, he could be one of the more electric running backs with the ball in his hand. He just sadly barely has knees or quads
Or ankles.
or hamstrings or ankles or metatarsals or metacarpals or a fibula, funny bone. I mean, the only thing working is his heart is beating, which is the only reason he's able to.
I was going to say, I believe he had a shoulder injury 2 years ago.
A collarbone,
yeah.
shoulder, eye socket. Literally nothing is working in this man's body. So, which is unfortunate because he is ridiculous when he catches the ball or when he has it in his hands. The first play from scrimmage last year was a 55-yard touchdown.
Don't remind me.
He's gross.
Yeah, I think I was playing
gross.
against him that game.
I started him. It was fantastic.
So were the Eagles.
Yeah. Shut the fuck up. You won the game. You won the game. Shut up. Britt, who do you believe starts in Detroit? Is it DeAndre Swift or did they go find somebody?
I think Jamal Williams is going to stay. I think he's going to hold on to that role. They really seem to love him, not only his style of play, but his personality and the kind of leadership that he brings to the team. And, over the last half of the season, he was the better back over Swift. Yeah. And whether or not it's injury related or just because that was his skill set, he was the better back, bottom line. And so I really think that they keep him and might, to preserve Swift's health, go to more of a 50-50 split backfield, which I think would be smart for them.
Ryan.
I mean, last year it wasn't even close to a 50-50 split. It was 75-25, basically, something ridiculous like that. I think it's Jamal Williams very, very clearly. I think, they've built a culture there that Jamal Williams wants to be a part of. I think he is the starter. I completely agree. Using Swift as a backup is what you want to do. We joke about it on the Monday show all the time. Backup running backs are supposed to be more efficient. This guy was averaging over 5 yards a carry last year and can score anytime he touches the ball. If Swift is cool with it, and even if he isn't, fuck him. You stay healthy, bro. You let Jamal Williams be the big back. You let Swift come in on third downs. And I know he's not a great pass blocker either. Jamal Williams is actually better at that. But the fact of the matter is, if you need a quick touchdown, you get Swift in the game. I think they're a great combination for an up-and-coming team, a team I really like, a team that I am preliminarily thinking could win their division next year. So.
Yeah, this is pretty easily Jamal Williams. I think that my issue is going to be him coming off a career season feels that he should be paid X amount of dollars, and rightfully so. I get that. But at a certain point, you got to be realistic because running backs just don't get paid, and you ain't Saquon Barkley, bro. Like,
he's taking a hometown deal. That's not even a question.
That's so, I mean, that's he fits that culture. He fits everything that Dan Cable's trying to build. I personally would love to see Ben Johnson work a lot more 21 personnel and get both Williams and Swift on the field at the same time, because that ultimately is going to make that offense so much more dynamic.
If I lose Jamal Williams mic'd up Thanksgiving Day games, I just don't even care about football anymore.
Right.
So the NFL needs this to happen. Otherwise, who's watching that 12 o'clock game?
I looked up the Lions schedule. Dude, they have cupcakes. Like literal cupcakes. I mean, at home, obviously their division, but they play the NFC South this year.
Yep.
Oof.
They play Atlanta and Carolina at home. They'll play Denver at home, which you may be like, oh, Joe, they have a good defense. Yes, but apparently Matt Patricia is in talks with them to be the defensive coordinator. So if that happens, everything's just going to fall to shit.
Well, let's not forget also, Detroit is one of the best teams in the NFL in Detroit.
Yes. Yes. They play the Raiders at home in Detroit. Yeah. The Seahawks at home in Detroit. They don't play a rushing defense at home in Detroit. And they also see the Chargers and Chiefs on the road, Saints and Bucks on the road. They don't see a rushing defense throughout the entire season. Jamal Williams could very well break the record he set last year. And that is not an exaggeration.
Yeah.
That is not an exaggeration. They have a cupcake schedule on the road.
I've been saying it for about a month now. I've been getting sideways looks. I think Detroit can win that division, and I also think
easy.
If Aaron Rodgers is gone, I think Green Bay might be last place. I'm gonna look to somewhere to play some action on that division, finishing Detroit, Minnesota, Chicago, Green Bay, because I know it's going to pay very well, and I won't have to put a lot of money in there. And if I'm right, man, it's going to be some fun money to spend.
I was talking with one of my bar guests a couple days ago, and we were talking about Dan Campbell and the Lions kind of ascending. And I said, Dan Campbell is a great motivator. He's got this entire team buying in. The challenge for him in 2023, how good of a head coach and a game manager is he? Because that is what we are going to find out this year.
100%. You're now going into a season where you're expected to win, and that was not the case.
Now the expectations are on him. Correct.
Yep.
Did you guys see Jim Bob Cooter got hired?
Yeah.
No, he did not. Did he?
Yeah, he's the offensive coordinator in Indy.
Jim Bob Cooter
brought him in. Yeah.
Former Detroit Lions offensive coordinator. Yeah. Jim Bob Cooter.
It's all right. Steichen's calling the plays.
I was going to say, yeah.
God, I love Jim Bob Cooter. What an absolute just top tier name.
Was he out of Oklahoma in college?
Sounds like it.
Sounds like it.
Maybe I'm completely wrong, but that's where my mind goes is Oklahoma.
It sounds like he was born in Oklahoma, Alabama, or Mississippi. And if he wasn't, then I don't know. His parents must have been, because there's no way.
Or some deep in the heart of Louisiana.
Yeah, that works too. Yeah, in like the backwoods
Tennessee
of Louisiana.
Okay. So I was thinking OSU. I just got color coordination wrong.
That's fair.
Yeah, he went to high school, Fayetteville, Tennessee.
Are we giving a whole fucking backstory here?
And this man didn't leave Tennessee
until his Wikipedia page. I mean,
Listen, Jim Bob Cooter up there with Cameron as the best NFL coaching names. You guys remember that? Cameron.
I don't at all.
His name was Cameron.
Cameron. He was with the Dolphins.
I don't know why I was not putting connection to Cameron. Yes,
they shortened it to Cameron because they realized how fucking embarrassing it was. Yeah. Cameron. Can you imagine teacher reading that off? Like, is this a fucking typo? Did they misprint this? No, Cameron.
I love it.
Terrible. Oh God. Parents were definitely high when they signed the birth certificate. Like, there's no way that they did that. Okay, few minutes left. Are there any names that we didn't bring up?
I would say just do a round robin on the backups one
and that's what I was going for.
Right,
so, Britt, any names that you think are of note that you wrote down going to a specific team that you had put down?
So the backups were really hard for me, to be completely honest. I could definitely see though, Jerick McKinnon going to the Cardinals, because that's kind of who they wanted, Darrell Williams to be. He wasn't that guy. I think that McKinnon would, I thought that he was going to be, he was that, Chase Edmonds role situation. Yeah. I think that McKinnon could be that guy.
Even before I read Josh's article, I had notes in with the Cardinals likely leading Browns backup running backs. So Dearness Johnson or Kareem Hunt. However, I fully believe 100% Kareem Hunt ends up back in Kansas City. I think the stars are aligned. He did his time for his crime. I think he comes back home and does well for them.
Josh.
Yeah, I have Kareem Hunt going to the Chiefs. P. Ryan staying with the Bengals. I have the Seahawks re-signing Rashad Penny because I just think Carroll can't let go. As everybody will see tomorrow.
Toxic Cardinals.
Yep.
They spent that first round pick on him. They have to get the most out of it.
They got to get that investment back. As people will see tomorrow morning when my How to Fix the Cardinals article drops, I've got Dearness Johnson going to the Cardinals.
That's piece number one.
I have the Cowboys saying, you know what? Fuck it. Bijan or die. And because that's so like a Jerry Jones.
That's a Jerry Jones move. 100%.
That is very much a Jerry Jones move.
That's
a Jerry Jones move.
And I do understand it's February, but that's not what he's saying. But that is very interesting.
That's a Jerry Jones
move. A Jerry Jones move. You kidding me? Yeah. I've got Jeff Wilson going to the Texans. Texans brought in Bobby Slowick, the coordinator with the 49ers. There's a connection there. Get somebody in there that can run that offense. And then I have the Browns signing Alexander Madison to back up Nick Chubb.
See, I thought the Browns might go back to pass catcher, even though they don't quite use it this way. I thought they might steal Justice Hill from Baltimore. I think that's an interesting.
They don't want him.
So.
They don't want him. You want to talk about a guy with fumble issues? That guy. You don't want Justice Hill at all.
That's fair.
And then I also could see Deonta Foreman ending up in the Saints. You always see a lot of times that teams will kind of pick players from their, division, like who they play. And I don't think Deonta Foreman, because of his age and, obviously the Achilles injury, even though he's played well the last couple of years, garnering much attention. And this whole thing with Alvin Kamara coming out, I think they need like a reliable thumper. And I could see Foreman fitting in there in New Orleans, especially because they don't have any cap space.
What do we think the Rams do? Because do they fully believe back in camp? I didn't hear what you said.
Give up.
Yeah. Britt, do they fully believe in Cam Akers? Do they go after a big name and kind of put him back in the same bullshit situation? Like, I'm very puzzled by what the Rams are going to do.
I don't know if they have much of a choice but to give up at this point because
I was right. Let's go.
Well, they're so strung up by the cap. Yeah, they have no cap. And then in order to get all these great players, they gave up a shit ton of draft capital. So they don't have that either. So I really don't know if they have much of a choice outside of a trade. If they get that done, I can see it. But I mean, they don't have a lot to offer on top of players in a trade in form of draft.
Interestingly enough, their cap hell is getting close to being over. They're actually in a better spot than even the Bills are right now. But the draft thing is terrible for them.
I could see Justice Hill landing there. Kind of get like an electric, kind of scat back kind of guy to kind of fit with Akers, because the only way that Akers is effective is if he's seeing 20 carries a game. That's it.
I wonder, Josh, remind me of their offensive coordinator. I can't think of his name.
Sean McVay.
Michael Floor.
I wonder if they go after the Jets. Now have these 3 running backs that have Zonovan Knight has played quite well. You have you have 4th round investment in Michael Carter. You still haven't won his rookie deal. And obviously Breece Hall is the man. I wonder if they make a play on Carter or Zonovan Knight because he knows the system and you can bring them over. Not to mention Ty Johnson is a free agent. And I don't know if that's just the easy, cheap route that they go. So
I could definitely see them maybe swinging like a swap of like mid-round picks and get Carter, because I think Carter would complement Akers pretty well.
I agree.
Did anyone, just for my own personal amusement, did anyone peg any guy to go to the Patriots?
I have them sticking with Pierre Strong to play
the
second back with Ramondre, and then maybe just throwing a dart at another mid-round rookie. That's what I have.
So
yeah,
Joe,
I don't think they make moves in free agency, really.
You're going to hate what I have. I actually have them being as a team that takes a long, hard look at the aforementioned many times David Montgomery or Deonta Foreman, because of the fact that they're not going to give – there is no reason, but they're not going to give Ramondre Stevenson the ball as much as he deserves. So
I'd rather Deonta Foreman at that point. We don't have a good offensive line. So I should say we have a meh offensive line. So I would much rather – Deonta Foreman, who is an offensive lineman himself.
Exactly. And I feel like he kind of fills a hole that Damian Harris is leaving open a little bit. I just don't think they're going to spend the money either of those guys want, but honestly, I don't know what they're going to do. So
Ramondre,
I mean, they got good play out of Kevin Harris last year, who was like their 6th round pick or whatever. So.
Dog. Yeah. Absolute dog. What do you mean? That guy saw his debut in Arizona. Dog. Fucking put anyone back there and they look good in a fucking Patriots uniform. But
here's my concern, Joe. Different. This is something I've been debating while doing my projection, so this is a good time for me to ask you. Bill O'Brien comes in.
Yeah.
Bill O'Brien notoriously in offense does not throw the ball a ton to his running backs, which is not the Patriot way.
First off, is that notoriously Bill O'Brien, or is it the fact that he had Deshaun Watson who can use his legs to not dump off to running backs?
That's fair.
What did he do at Alabama? They don't dump at Alabama.
That's because they usually have star-studded wide receivers. Look at what Jahmyr Gibbs did last year.
And you're telling me Nelson Aguilar, Kendrick Bourne, and Jacoby Myers are the elite receivers from Alabama?
So my concern
to be fair, Alabama didn't have elite wide receiver play this year. That's why Jahmyr Gibbs was used so much to catch passes.
My concern is Ramondre Stevenson is an enormous, and it's hard to even call it a breakout candidate, but I don't think a lot of people are going to believe he can repeat. And I do, talent-wise, think he can repeat. but I'm worried about the drop. He had almost 90 targets last year. Do you think this continues, or do we see a more Bill O'Brien installed offense, and do we not see it?
Third most catches out of any running back last year. If they don't, they're idiots, and that's
well, Bill O'Brien's an idiot, so
Bill
game
O'Brien's
over.
God. But here's the thing. Nothing can be worse than Matt Patricia last year. It just can't. It can't be. So I think Bill O'Brien and Mac Jones can't fucking run. So to Josh's point,
okay,
they're going to need to dump it off. They also don't have, unless they go and get good tackles, they don't have any left or right tackle. They don't have them. David Andrews is one of the best centers that no one talks about. I think David Andrews is a fantastic center. Their guards are pretty solid. Cole Strange had an up and down rookie season. They don't have any tackles. So if they need to dump off, if Jacoby Myers doesn't re-sign, who the hell are you going to throw to? It has to be Ramondre Stevenson. So I think yes, but I will not know until more shit comes out of camp and everyone not named Bill Belichick tells me what's happening, because I don't believe a fucking word Bill Belichick says. I believe the reporters that show up to practice. Yeah, I forget the ESPN reporter Mike Reese for ESPN covers the Patriots. He's fantastic. And then I trust my dad's old buddy, Paul Perillo, who covers the Patriots every single year. He's been with them since 98, I think. So I trust those guys and listen to what they say. Okay. If they don't,
I'll ask you again in a few months.
Yeah. If they don't, it's really stupid. But if they don't bring in any, if they don't bring in any guys that can rake in targets within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, which they don't have outside of the backfield with Stevenson and Pierre Strong, it has to be Stevenson, because Aguilar and Kendrick Bourne just aren't underneath guys. And if fucking Kendrick Bourne doesn't get more play, I'm going to be pissed.
I think they're both free agents. I think
Aguilar is.
I think Bourne is as well.
I believe they can move on from.
Yeah. Oh, well, we're gonna, because he was in the doghouse all year.
Yeah, your players next year are Tyquan Thornton and Devontae Parker right now, brother.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah. Hey, guys, I heard they're having open tryouts. It can't get worse than Tyquan Thornton and Devontae Parker.
Based on your dad's Facebook posts, I think G needs to head out.
Him and I could seriously contend for a receiver position on the New England Patriots. We've played at Gillette Stadium, both of us. So arguably the best receivers to ever step foot on that field.
I'm ready for the movie about you. Mark Wahlberg can play you.
Yeah. Ready for the movie of the 5'10", 170-pound white kid that showed up to practice one day.
Julian Edelman can play you.
God, I wish. Britt, thank you for joining us. This was a good show.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. It's really awesome to, come full circle back around with the original people who had me on Women of Fantasy Football after doing HERstory. And, it's always a good time. So I appreciate y'all.
I appreciate the most that Prince watches over the show in the background.
Judging.
The man. The man.
I feel completely inadequate when I look at Britt's screen for just numerous reasons. She's a better fantasy analyst. Prince is telling me I suck. It's all bad.
She reads.
Yeah.
A bunch of books back there. Yeah. Ryan just has Yoda.
I have an awesome
kill. You have a belt, though.
I do have a belt.
1/14 of that belt. That's mine.
That's right, Joe.
Yes.
Never forget.
Oh, okay. That is it. Next week, same thing, different position. Wide receivers. Yes. TBD is back. I'm so excited.
Best guest in the industry.
Best guest in the industry. TBD. Normally a constant on Starts a Different Day, but now translating into the off season here with No Pun Intended.
I was feeling so proud too, because I booked all the guests out a month.
I thought we had a guest.
Time, And then I got a DM from who I booked and like, oh, I'm sorry, I
Ah.
can't make it. I had this come up. I'm like, it's all right. I'll find somebody. I texted a few people today, so just kind of waiting to hear back. So
I was gonna say, I thought you had this whole month book. You like sent us all.
I did.
Big old
I did.
text like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But you know who was more important?
TBD.
TBD. TBD is back. Maka Like It's Hot back in a few weeks, 11 a.m. time slot. Who's Your Caddy? Every Tuesday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern. HERstory in the making. One just dropped yesterday. You can find it there. But every other week at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, so not next Tuesday, but the Tuesday following, you can find that with Miss Britt Flinn and the most recent one interviewing Maddie Kroll from Heavy Sports. You can find that over on our YouTube page. And if you're not already there, why? There's a little, like the whole reason you can win free stuff by subscribing to the YouTube channel. It's
just
the
give away
account's
a signed
slowed
Stephon
down.
Diggs jersey.
Your shit
Yeah.
together, people.
you're just doing yourself a disservice if you're not subscribed there. I mean, if you're following us on like Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch, keep that, but then like go subscribe on YouTube as well. So for Josh, Ryan, Britt, myself, you can follow Club Fantasy on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Club Fantasy FFL. The URL is clubfantasyffl.com. Remember, Club Fantasy, 20% off, free shipping, manscaped.com. Go use it. They have more than just stuff to shave the nether regions. They are literally a full-on brand at this point. They have the best commercial they made with, I can't remember the name of the golfer, John Daly. Is that who I'm thinking of?
John Daly.
They did it with him and his son, and Daly goes to use it down below, and he's like, no, Dad, this one's for your face. They literally have a whole new razor for your face. It is incredible. Go check them out. You can get 20% off and free shipping with the code Club Fantasy. Always remember, defense wins championships, offense wins fantasy football. We will see you